Ladies and gentlemen, there is a truth that separates those who rise from those who crumble. It is not the storm that breaks a man, it is his inability to remain calm within it. In the game of life, your most powerful weapon is not muscle, money, or might. It is the disciplined mind, a mind trained not to flinch, not to falter, and not to fall apart when the world tries to break it. Let me tell you this. Your mind is your kingdom. It will serve you like a loyal soldier or sabotage you like a traitor. If you do not program it with calmness, it will default to chaos, and chaos has no mercy. We are not born calm, we are born reactive. But the path to power begins the moment you understand you can choose your response. You can build an iron shield around your thoughts. You can train your mind to stay still while the world shakes. Emotions are tools, not masters. Anger, fear, panic, they were designed to serve you, not to steer you. You must stand above them like a general over his troops. When the pressure mounts, when the fire rises, it is not the time to panic, it is the time to perform. The mind is the seat of power. It is the throne from which all decisions are made, where all fears are born, and where every victory first takes form. Before you can win in the world, you must first win in the silent chambers of your own mind. It is not your circumstances, not your upbringing, not your education or your bank balance that determines your destiny. It is the degree to which you have taken command of your own thinking. There are two types of people in this world, those who rule their minds and those who are ruled by them. And let me tell you, the difference between the two is not intelligence, talent, or even opportunity. The difference lies in discipline. One has trained his mind to obey. The other has allowed it to run wild. One wakes up each day and sets his mental compass on purpose, clarity, and control. The other wakes up and immediately hands over the reins to emotion, habit, and impulse. Your mind can either be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. Left untrained, it becomes a fertile ground for fear, doubt, and procrastination. It will talk you out of dreams. It will convince you that you're not ready, not worthy, not capable. But when you take command, when you stand as a conscious, deliberate master over your thoughts, the mind becomes a loyal servant. It begins to work for you, not against you. It begins to seek solutions, not problems. It begins to calm you in chaos, not stir the fire. Understand this, you are not your thoughts. You are the one who directs them. And the moment you believe you are powerless against a voice in your head is the very moment you surrender your power. Every strong man, every accomplished soul, every leader of consequence has first learned the art of internal control. They do not let the world shake them because their mind is grounded, anchored, and obedient. How many times have you seen someone with great potential destroy their own opportunities because they could not control their anger, their ego, their fear? And how many times have you watched someone less talented, less fortunate, walk through doors and climb mountains simply because they kept their mind focused, calm, and sharp under pressure? It is not about what happens to you. It is about what happens within you. The battlefield is not out there, it is right between your ears. The enemy is not your boss, your past, your critics. It is your doubt, your panic, your inner noise. And just as a warrior sharpens his sword every day, you must sharpen your mental edge. You must train the mind like a soldier, firm, alert, and ready. Start with awareness. Start with catching yourself when you drift. When your thoughts begin to spiral into negativity, stop. Take control. Ask yourself, is this thought serving me or sabotaging me? And if it's sabotaging you, change it, redirect it, replace it. This is not magic. It is repetition, discipline, daily mental exercise. You will not master your mind in a day, but you will begin mastering it the day you decide to. And every time you choose discipline over reaction, peace over panic, clarity over confusion, you take one more step toward power, not the kind of power that demands attention, but the quiet, unstoppable kind that builds empires, writes history, and bends reality to its will. Do not wait for peace to find you. Do not expect the world to be calm so you can be calm. That is the path of the weak. Train your mind to be the master in chaos. Train it to be still when others break. This is the secret known by those who succeed while others stumble. They have learned to govern their inner world regardless of the outer one. The mind is the master. Command it or be commanded by it. There is no in-between. You either ride the horse or get dragged by it. Choose mastery. Choose command. Choose to train your mind until it becomes a weapon of calm precision in the face of any storm. Emotions are powerful, yes, but they were never meant to be the masters of your life. They are tools. Raw energy that can either build or destroy depending on who is in control. The tragedy is that most people live their entire lives being ruled by emotions they never took the time to understand, let alone master. They are pushed and pulled by anger, fear, jealousy, anxiety, frustration, like ships without anchors in stormy seas. But here's the truth. You are not your emotions. You are the captain, not the current. You decide the direction, not the waves. Anger will visit you, so will fear. Doubt will knock on your door. That is natural. What matters is what you do when they arrive. Do you let them in, let them eat at your table, take control of your choices, your tone, your actions? Or do you acknowledge them, take the lesson they offer, and send them on their way? Emotional control is not about pretending you don't feel. It's about deciding what you do with those feelings. It's about choosing response over reaction. And that choice, that single conscious choice, is the foundation of true strength. People who are ruled by emotion are easy to manipulate, quick to break, and always in a state of internal warfare. A single harsh word can ruin their day. A minor inconvenience can throw off their focus. A small defeat can stop them for weeks. Why? Because they never built the habit of stepping back, of observing the emotion without becoming it. They've let emotion write the script of their life, and now they wonder why chaos is always on the page. You must flip the script. You must begin to treat your emotions like employees. They work for you, not the other way around. When fear shows up, use it to prepare. When anger rises, channel it into action, into change, into fire for the forge, not destruction. When sadness comes, let it cleanse you, then move forward. You are the manager, the general, the commander. The moment you forget this, you become a prisoner in your own mind. Look around at those who are steady under pressure, leaders who remain calm in crisis, fighters who keep their focus even when outnumbered. They are not emotionless, they are emotionally intelligent. They know the purpose of each emotion. They listen, but they do not obey blindly. They ask, is this feeling helping me advance or holding me back? And based on the answer, they make a decision. That is mastery. That is power. That is freedom. Let me be clear. Emotional control is not repression. Repressing emotion leads to explosion. You do not hide it, bury it, pretend it doesn't exist. No, you acknowledge it, you examine it, and you lead it. You take the energy and direct it like a laser toward your goal. A man in control of his emotions is in control of his destiny. A man controlled by his emotions is a puppet to the winds of the world. The real test is not how you behave when everything is smooth. The real test is how you conduct yourself when the pressure is on, when tempers flare, when the plan breaks down, when others are watching to see if you'll crack. That is when your training shows. That is when your emotional discipline must kick in. You can either explode like a child or respond like a strategist. You can either add fuel to the fire or become the calm that puts it out. Each day you will face emotional challenges. Someone will test your patience. Something will frustrate you. News will disturb you. But you must train your mind like a soldier. When emotion rises, do not let it charge through the gates. Meet it at the door. Ask it, what are you here for? Listen, then decide. Your life will not be defined by what you feel, but by what you do in spite of what you feel. This is how champions are built. This is how legacies are carved, not through ease, but through inner mastery. The one who wins is not the one who feels the least, but the one who leads the most, leads their thoughts, their habits, and yes, their emotions. Because when emotion is your servant, it will carry you forward, but when it becomes your ruler, it will bury you alive. Control them or be controlled. Rule them or be ruled. Every day, life presents you with circumstances. Some are favorable, others are harsh, unexpected, even brutal. But the difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck has never been the circumstances themselves. It has always been the response. The truth is simple. You are not shaped by what happens to you. You are shaped by what you do about what happens to you. You can take two people, give them the same setback, the same loss, the same betrayal, and one will crumble while the other will climb. Why? Not because one had more luck, more strength, or more support. It's because one made a choice to respond with courage, clarity, and resilience. The other surrendered to circumstance. That is the invisible dividing line between greatness and mediocrity. Response. The man who blames the world, who blames the economy, the government, his childhood, his environment, that man has already given up power. He's handed the steering wheel of his life over to things outside himself. But the man who says, this is tough, yes, but it will not break me, it will build me, that man has unlocked something most never do. He has learned that every situation is raw material, and your response is the hand that shapes it. You've seen it time and again, those who come from nothing and rise to everything, and others who have every advantage and still find a way to lose. It's never the situation that decides it. It's the mindset, the inner language, the response. Because a weak man sees failure as a signal to stop. A strong man sees failure as feedback. One folds, the other fights. One complains, the other creates. The difference is never the world around them. It's the world within them. Circumstances can be cruel. Life can hit hard. People will disappoint you. Opportunities will slip through your fingers. But none of that, not a single bit of it, can define who you become unless you let it. You can take your pain and turn it into power. You can take your loss and turn it into learning. You can take betrayal and turn it into boundaries. But all of that depends on how you respond. If you're waiting for perfect conditions to begin, to grow, to act, you will be waiting forever. There is no perfect moment. There is only now, right now. And in this very moment, you are shaping your life with how you choose to react to it. Do you complain or do you adapt? Do you retreat or do you rise? Do you make excuses or do you make decisions? That's the choice, every single time. The greatest power you will ever possess is the power to respond on your terms, not emotionally, not impulsively, not reactively, but deliberately, with strength, with calm, with purpose. When you master this, when you learn to pause, to breathe, to choose your mindset in the face of chaos, you become unshakable. You no longer fear what's around the corner because you know you can handle whatever comes. You trust you. And that trust, that internal confidence, is not built from easy days. It is forged in pressure, in conflict, in the moments where you felt like quitting but didn't. When you kept your head while others lost theirs, when you chose character over comfort. That is when you realize you are not the product of your circumstances. You are the product of your choices. So when life gets messy, when things don't go as planned, when the road seems unfair, remember this: you are not powerless. You are not a victim of fate. You are not at the mercy of chance. You are the one who decides what it will all mean and what you will become because of it. And that decision, that response, will shape your future more than any outside force ever could. You hold the pen. The world hands you scenes, moments, disruptions, but you write the story. You decide whether it's a tragedy, a triumph, or a turning point. So don't waste your time wishing for different circumstances. Build yourself into someone who can rise in any circumstance. That is the real power, and once you understand that, nothing can stop you. There's a lie that's been repeated so often that most people take it as truth, the idea that calmness is a sign of weakness, that if you're not loud, if you're not aggressive, if you're not the most visibly dominant person in the room, then you lack strength. But nothing could be further from the truth. Real power doesn't scream. It doesn't rush. It doesn't need to prove itself. Real power walks in calm. It speaks with precision. It doesn't need to shout because it knows what it's capable of. Calmness is not the absence of force. It is force under control. It is the mark of someone who has already done the hard work of mastering himself. The world may try to shake him, but his mind remains steady. Emotions may rise around him, but he does not drown in them. He does not let panic run his decisions. He does not let anger guide his actions. He has trained himself to pause, to assess, to choose the response, not be dragged by reaction. There is no weakness in that. In fact, there is no greater strength. Anyone can explode. Anyone can panic. That takes no skill, no discipline. But to remain calm in a storm, that is earned. That is a level most never reach because they haven't yet realized that power is not always loud. Power is sometimes silent. It's the silence of a man who knows he could strike but chooses not to because he doesn't need to. He has nothing to prove. He knows the fight, but he chooses peace, not out of fear, but out of control. Calmness is dangerous because it's unpredictable. It's a signal that someone is operating from strategy, not emotion. While others lose themselves in stress and chaos, the calm individual becomes sharper. While others overreact and rush into mistakes, he sees the whole board. He plays a different game, one that's played not with volume but with vision. And make no mistake, that vision comes from control, and control comes from discipline. To be calm is to be in command of your mind, your body, your environment. To be calm is to speak when others scream, to wait when others rush, to see clearly when others are blinded by emotion. It doesn't mean you're disconnected or passive. It means you are present, intentional, deliberate. It means your energy is not scattered across 1,000 thoughts, but centered like a blade honed to a fine point. The calm person is not immune to fear or pressure, but he doesn't let it drive him. He uses it. He channels it. He knows that emotion can fuel him, but only if he's the one steering. And that's what separates him from the masses. He steers. He does not drift. He decides how he feels, how he thinks, how he acts, regardless of what the world throws at him. Look at the people who lead with grace under fire. Look at those who hold nations together, lead teams through crisis, raise families in adversity. What do they have in common? Not loudness, not aggression, but calm presence. Calmness that says, I've been here before. I'm not shaken. I know what I'm doing. That kind of calm is earned. That kind of calm is rare. But it is not reserved for the chosen few. It's available to anyone who is willing to practice presence, awareness, and control. You don't need to react to everything. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need to raise your voice to raise your influence. The most impactful people walk into the room and immediately shift the energy, not by force, but by focus, not by dominance, but by calm certainty. Calmness is power, not the kind that demands attention, but the kind that commands respect. It's the kind of power that moves mountains without making noise, the kind that doesn't rise and fall with circumstance, but remains constant, grounded, unshaken. So if the world ever tries to tell you that calmness is weakness, smile. Let them think what they will, because while they're wasting energy reacting to everything, you'll be saving yours, focused, prepared, deliberate. And in the end, it's not the loudest who win, it's the calmest who last. And lasting power is the only power that matters. Anyone can look composed when the world is quiet. Anyone can act confident when things are going their way. But what about when everything falls apart, when pressure mounts, tempers rise, and the ground beneath you begins to shake? That's when you see the difference between appearance and reality, between surface-level strength and the kind forged in fire, because in those moments only one thing matters: self-control. Self-restraint is not just a virtue. It's a weapon, it's a skill, it's a shield. When the world goes into chaos, people react. They lash out, they crumble, they run. And in doing so, they give away their power. But the one who remains steady, composed, focused, that is the one who commands the moment. That is the one others turn to when everything spins out of order. Why? Because people instinctively trust the one who is not ruled by the storm, but who rules himself within it. It's easy to throw blame when things go wrong. It's easy to yell, to panic, to retreat. That doesn't take courage. That doesn't take mastery. What takes courage is biting your tongue when anger demands you speak. What takes mastery is keeping your head when confusion surrounds you. That kind of restraint doesn't mean you're passive. It means you're in charge. It means you've trained yourself to act, not react, to lead, not follow, to choose direction, not get dragged by impulse. Real strength is not loud. It doesn't need to draw attention to itself. It's quiet, it's disciplined. It waits for the right moment, then it strikes with precision. And where does that precision come from? From control, from the habit of not letting your emotions dictate your actions, from the decision made day after day that you will be the one to steer your ship no matter how rough the seas get. Think about it. How many people have destroyed relationships, businesses, even their own futures, because they lacked self-control in a moment of stress? One outburst, one reckless decision, one emotional slip. That's all it takes to undo years of work. But the person who has trained himself to pause, to assess, to breathe, he is dangerous in the best way, because he can face the storm and still choose his course. Self-betrayal is not suppression, it is transformation. It is the ability to feel anger, fear, disappointment, and not let those feelings rule the moment. You don't deny them. You don't run from them, you lead them. You say, I see you, I understand why you're here, but I will decide what happens next. That is power, that is ownership, and that is what sets leaders apart from followers, warriors from worriers, builders from blamers. You want turbulence? Lead them upick, from the lower spirited folk, then warriors from worriers, builders from blamers. In chaos, everything becomes exposed. The cracks in character, the habits you've built or failed to build. That's when the mask falls off and your true foundation is revealed. So the question is, have you trained for that moment? Have you built the muscle of self-restraint? Or have you let yourself live on autopilot, driven by whatever emotion shows up next? You don't prepare for calm days, you prepare for war, so that when it comes, you're already steady. You already know your mind. You already trust yourself. The calm is not when strength is built. The chaos is. And those who understand that don't fear disorder. They welcome it, because they know it gives them a chance to rise while others fall apart. Self-control in chaos isn't about appearing tough. It's about being unshakable when it counts. It's the quiet, deadly confidence of a man who has mastered the battlefield within. The kind of strength that doesn't need to be proven because it's already earned through discipline, through consistency, through choosing control over comfort 100 times before the storm ever hit. So if you want real power, Don't just chase goals. Build control. Train your mind like a warrior trains his weapon. Because when the world descends into noise and distraction, your ability to stay composed becomes your greatest asset. It becomes your anchor. It becomes your advantage. In the end, it's not the strongest who survive the storm. It's the ones who can stay in command of themselves during the storm. That's true strength. That's rare. And that's what separates the few who lead from the many who follow. Mental discipline doesn't arrive in the heat of the moment. It isn't something you suddenly acquire when the pressure mounts or when life hits you sideways. No. Mental discipline is a decision. It is a commitment made far before the test ever appears. It is the quiet daily agreement between you and yourself that no matter what comes, you will not break, bend, or betray your purpose. Too many people live in reaction. They wait until life pressures them, then try to summon strength they never practiced. They wait until crisis to build composure. They wait until conflict to wish for patience. That's not discipline. That's gambling, and most lose. Not because they are weak, but because they never chose strength in the moments that didn't demand it. Discipline is not built in the storm. It is built in the silence, in the early hours, in the decisions no one sees, in the habits that seem small but forge unshakable character. The disciplined mind is not surprised by adversity. It's ready for it. It doesn't panic when things fall apart. It's prepared. Why? Because it was already decided. I will remain composed. I will remain committed. I will rise no matter what. Understand this. You train your mind every single day, whether you realize it or not. Every time you resist a reaction, you strengthen it. Every time you follow through instead of giving in, you reinforce it. Every time you hold to your standards, even when no one is watching, you sharpen it. Discipline isn't loud. It's not dramatic. It's subtle. But its power is unmatched. When your mind is undisciplined, everything becomes harder than it needs to be. Distraction becomes constant. Emotion becomes overwhelming. Chaos becomes unavoidable. But when you decide, truly decide, that your mind will serve your mission, not the other way around, then everything begins to change. You don't wait to feel motivated. You act anyway. You don't wait for the world to calm down. You become the calm. That is the power of mental discipline. And it begins long before the challenge ever shows up. It begins with the way you speak to yourself, the way you think when no one's around, the way you approach each task, whether it's big or small, with intention. The disciplined mind doesn't pick and choose when to be sharp. It stays sharp. It doesn't rely on mood. It relies on decision, on command, on clarity. Every battle in life is first won or lost in the mind. Before the world tests you, you've already tested yourself. You've already told yourself who you are and what you will do. That's why the disciplined are dangerous. Not because they're the loudest, not because they look the part, but because they already decided the outcome long before they stepped onto the field. People look at those who stay calm under pressure and think they must be different. No, they're not different. They're prepared. They didn't leave it up to chance. They built the habit of clarity under stress, of calm under fire, of action without hesitation. That doesn't happen by accident. That is engineered. That is earned. The most dangerous person in the room is not the one who looks tough. It's the one who has made up his mind. The one who already knows who he is, what he stands for, and how he will act, regardless of circumstances. That level of clarity cannot be shaken. That level of certainty cannot be bought. It comes only from discipline. And discipline is a lonely road. It requires sacrifice. It demands consistency. It asks you to delay pleasure for purpose, to resist distraction for direction, to stay steady while others chase comfort. But in the end, discipline delivers something motivation never can: freedom. Freedom from emotional chaos. Freedom from mental weakness. Freedom from being a slave to your surroundings. Make no mistake, this is a choice, one made daily, sometimes hourly. You don't wake up with a disciplined mind, you choose it. You choose it in the way you think, the way you act, the way you respond. And you don't wait until it's convenient. You decide now, right now, before the chaos, before the test, before the heat, because by the time the pressure comes, it's too late to decide who you want to be. You've already become it. In a world that moves fast, reacts faster, and often praises noise over wisdom, there is unmatched power in mastering the stillness within. You have now seen that calmness is not a flaw, it is a force. It is not weakness, it is wisdom dressed in silence. The ability to remain composed in chaos, to choose your response instead of being driven by impulse, to rise above emotion without disconnecting from reality. This is the mark of real strength. Circumstances will always change. People will test you. Pressure will find you. But none of that determines your fate. What does is your decision. The choice to train your mind, to sharpen your discipline, to respond with clarity, not confusion. The greats are not made by ease. They are forged through mental mastery. And mental mastery is not born in the heat of crisis. It is chosen long before. So decide now. Decide to become the one who leads when others follow panic. Decide to be the voice of reason when noise surrounds you. Decide to build the kind of strength that doesn't flex. It simply stands unshaken. Because when your mind is trained, your soul becomes unmovable. And from that place, there is nothing, no person, no event, no storm that can take you off course. Calm is your power. Discipline is your weapon, and your response, not your conditions, will write the story of your life. So let the world spin. You are already centered.